your girl China Rain. Welcome, my 513 subscribers. I'm so happy to have you all. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. If you're new here, please like and subscribe if you like the content. All right, let's get right into it. So today's topic is relationship advice for women. And let me just say ahead of time, don't come for me in the comments. I am just going to just give it to you straight. Now, my advice will be coming from myself as my own personal experience, as well as over 25 years of experience counseling, marriage counseling, couples counseling, premarital counseling. I have counseled hundreds of men as well as women. And these are just some of the things that I picked up. And so I wanted to share it with you all. So let's get into it. The first thing is, you ever heard the phrase, the dating pool has pee in it? The dating pool has pee in it. But the question that I have for you is, are you, I'm talking to you, are you the pee in the dating pool? You see, it all comes down to you. You understand what I'm saying? All right, so if you don't, I'm going to break it down for you. Do you attract to you what you are, or do you attract your negative opposite? And let me give you some background on that. The more spiritually, emotionally, and physically balanced you are, you have a greater chance of attracting who you are, someone on your level, someone in your expectations, hopefully. If you are out of sync in any of those areas, you have a stronger chance of attracting your negative opposite. So if you continually keep dating the same type of person and that's the wrong person for you, then you have to kind of go back to yourself and say, what is it about me that's drawing this type of person to me? If you always attract a narcissist, okay, you need to go back and say, what is it about me that's drawing this type of individual to me, right? And let me make a distinction here. There's people being attracted to you, but then there's what do you allow to stay with you. So if you start a dating relationship with someone and you see all of these flags, but yet you don't end it and you keep it going, that's more of what I'm saying. You know, oftentimes people will be attracted to you for whatever reason, but that doesn't mean that we keep them around, okay? All right, so I got some notes here and I want to make sure that I stay on them so that I don't miss any of the points that I wanted to make. All right, so I have a little exercise for you. Really simple. Find a piece of paper. On one side of that paper, write down all of the qualities that you want in a mate. Their characteristics, their traits, whatever it is. If you want to write down how you want them to look, what, how much money you want them to make, whatever it is. Let's just call this your dream list. And then on the other side of that paper, I'd like for you to write down what you bring to the table. What can you offer the relationship? How do you want them to experience you? Okay? And then after you write that list, ask yourself, would you date you based on what you see? Would you date you? Okay? That's very important because one thing that I've learned from doing therapy with couples is that women in particular have a very difficult time taking accountability for their actions, their choices, and their behaviors. Oftentimes I would see a couple and the woman was very quick to point out, well, he does this, he doesn't do this. And then when I would turn the tables and say, well, what areas do you think that you could improve upon? It was crickets. Like, "Rrr, rrr, rrr, rrr." They just could not bring themselves to give any negative points about themselves. Okay. So that's something that we as women, we need to think about. And so that's one of the purposes of doing this little exercise. We need to see what value we bring to a relationship. We have all these high demands and expectations, but what can we offer, basically? Okay, so I wanted to add, if you're over 30 and you still walking around talking about men ain't I guarantee you it's time for you to look in the mirror, because that is where you're going to find your problem. I know it's a hard reality, but trust me, I've seen it. And you might want to get some therapy. All right, check out this next clip.
You think a man can motivate a woman to do or be X, Y, Z?
Yes, and vice versa.
And vice versa.
Yes.
But what's missing from that calculus is, let's take it out of relationship. Basically, if you have the money and the credit rating to afford a Bentley, you're not going to go get a car you got to repair. And we've told women that men should accept men who go out here and work 60, 70, 80 hours, putting in the work in the field, in the office, in the studio, trying to get out here to separate themselves from the competition. I don't have time to come on and try to motivate you to take your ass to the gym when you know that's what I want in the first place. But if you have made it to 35 years old and you're unmarried, you are a leftover woman. A leftover woman. You are what is left. Men know that there's something likely wrong with you. You're not supposed to be 5'5", 200 pounds, talking about the BMI is off and muscle weighs more than fat. Like I told that woman yesterday, you can be a Kryptonian and have Kryptonian muscle fibers. You're still not supposed to weigh more than a man at your height. And what it really comes down to is, what I found out is many women just simply don't want to have any standard, but they got no problem holding a man to a standard. Like I said, ladies, you rank a man's ability to produce and provide. Men rank your looks, but apparently that's wrong. It is wrong, gentlemen. I need you to understand. It is wrong for you to have any expectation of beauty for a woman. You motherfuckers ain't ready for this.
Okay, we finished number 1, which was know yourself, basically. Make sure you're not the pea in the dating pool. All right. Number 2, understanding the dating market value. This is very important. You see, when you go to buy a house, you want to know, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? What is the interest rate? You have all these things because it's a market. It's about value, right? Okay, well, the dating market is no different, right? So you need to make sure that you are a high commodity in the dating market. So if you are a woman who may be carrying a few extra pounds, like me and a lot of other women, quite frankly, then understand that your market value decreases in the dating market. And why is that? Because men are visuals. They are attracted to what they see visually. And let's face it, a lot of men are attracted to smaller framed women. Now, I'm not saying that all men are. I don't want to generalize like that, but I mean, I think we know the difference, correct? We know the difference. We'd be lying to ourselves if we weren't honest about that, right? Just like we as women, you may want a tall man versus a short man. Or you might want a man that makes $500,000 a year versus someone who makes $40,000 a year. We all have our preferences, but the bottom line is that most men are visual, and that's been proven statistically. Okay. Now, so with that being said, you have to understand that that could decrease your value in the market. Now, if you're a woman, single mother who has children, obviously single mother, that could also decrease your value. And the reason why is because a man is looking at, you are a package deal, right? Let's say he marries you today. When he carries you over the threshold, he's got to also deal with your children in that home that night. He can't even have the first night with you alone in the home together. It's not like he can stop and pick you up something to eat and just you. He has to feed everybody in the house. So a real man who is there to protect and provide is factoring all of that in. So that's something that is out of your control to change, but just understand that it does lower your market value. Okay? So keep that in mind. Hold on a minute. Let me go back to my notes here. Also, I want to say this, going back to the weight, and I think it's important to make this distinction. It doesn't decrease your value as a person if you're overweight. Understand that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that it decreases your value on the dating market. There's a very clear difference. I've had women, argue me down about this. Well, they're just going to have to accept me as I am, so on and so forth, blah, 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 blah. And the reality is that they don't. No one has to accept you. They can just simply move on. Just like we have the choice to simply move on from something that we don't like, right? Okay. So, all right. The late Kevin Samuels built a platform basically giving women the blueprint of what men want. And what he said was, and let me read it because I don't want to miss anything. Men want women to be fit, friendly, cooperative, and submissive. That is basically the blueprint that he believes that men want. So with that being said, I would just like to say that we as women need to prepare ourselves to be the best possible offering that we can be. Whatever that is, your issues, what needs to be worked on, whether you need to lose some weight, whether you're carrying baggage from a previous relationship, whether you have children, whether you keep a nasty house. I don't know what you got going on. You know your issues that need to be addressed. So the point is to clean up your act before you put the for sale sign on and say that you're ready. Okay? All right. Now let's move into our next point. But let's check out this clip first.
If you can't be used, you're not feminine. Feminine women are useful women. Masculine women are not useful. Masculine women are competitors. This is why when you sit around and deal with a masculine woman, you feel drained. It's because you're actually in conflict with these women.
The third point is to cut off your masculine energy. Okay? Or at the very least, tone it down. Oh, Lord. All right. Most men don't want a woman that they need to compete with. Bottom line, the only time that a man doesn't want to be in charge is if you on top that night, if you know what I mean. Okay? Other than that, they fully expect to be the king of the castle. Okay? So we need to tone down that masculine energy. And when I say masculine energy, what I'm referring to is if you're the type of woman where you enjoy bragging on your house, your cars, I make my own money, I don't need a man, this and that, and you're argumentative, you're combative, so on and so forth. Those are things that would be qualified as masculine energy. You talk over a man, so on and so forth. Men they just don't like that. They don't want to be in constant opposition with you. They want to partner with you. They want to be the head of the household, so on and so forth. So that is an issue. Something to think about. Most men want women to submit to them. Now, I know that's a touchy word. It's a touchy subject. Lord knows. When I got married, I damn near choked and died when the pastor said submit, because I clearly told him ahead of time in premarital counseling to take that word out, but he did not. And when he said it, I damn near choked and died. Okay. But anyway, what I have learned all these years later is that submission in a relationship for a woman can mean many different things and it's oftentimes between that man and that woman. My father told me a long time ago, the understanding between a man and a woman is sometimes only understood between that man and that woman, right? So I've also come to understand that I'm tired. I am tired. And if you want to take over the bills, you want to take over the responsibilities of running this household, of making sure that the cars have gas, they're clean, you want to take out the garbage, you want to do all that, you can have it. Understand me when I tell you that. You can have it. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm still watching the deed and I'm watching the bank accounts. You understand? But I am willing to give that over to someone else. Do you understand? I don't want to fight with you. You can have it. I don't want to be labeled as strong anymore, right? That is a badge of honor that women wear. And in my opinion, it's overrated, to say the least. Okay? So, now with that being said, check out the next clip. We go into the next point.
Single women keep women single.
Ooh.
Because it's all throughout our culture. Go back to En Vogue when they had that little lead in. What's going on, girl? It's so and so. Oh, you should just leave him. You shouldn't put up with it. Ain't no man worth all that. Ding dong. Oh, I gotta go. That's Kevin. See, when the woman got a man, it's always the single friends that tend to be on the outside telling that what you should and should not accept. But you ask her,
tell my wife to come in here.
Where's your wedding ring and your husband? So you get women who at the 1 minute, I love him because he does everything, but you got a woman in there. Yeah, he's trying to control. Girl, that's what this is. Oh, that's what that is. Oh, that's narcissistic.
Get my wife in here. Get my damn wife in here.
This next point, stop seeking advice from your single friends. Guess what? They can't help you. I know that it seems like it's common sense, but you'd be surprised how it's not common sense for a lot of people, right? All right. So let me tell you, I'm going to share this story with you about this married couple I did counseling with. They decided they wanted to have a little spice in their life, right? So the wife brings in her girlfriend for a menage a trois. Okay? They liked it. Everything was good. Moving forward, what ended up happening was the person they brought in left with the husband, and that ended the relationship. So I was in, as the therapist when they brought in this woman and they began to have problems, right? But by then, it was, I guess you could say it was too late. It was beyond repair, because ultimately the husband ended up leaving the wife for this friend that she brought in. Now, I realize that that is an extreme situation, but the moral to that story is that every time you go to your single friend and you telling them all of your relationship business, you are ultimately letting them into your bedroom, right? So that's something for you to stop and think about. Everybody who says they're your friend is sometimes not your friend. And if you're a woman and you lived on this earth long enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? I'm going to cut a little bit deeper, right? We as women, we really value our relationships with our girlfriends. Okay? I think that's a fair assumption. So I have another little exercise for us. I'd like for you to take a piece of paper and write down the qualities that you like about your best friend, right? I guarantee you that those qualities you like about your friend are very similar, if not dead on, the same qualities that you're looking for in a mate. Of course, minus the sexual things or your attractions and things like that. But the characteristics, the traits of that person are probably going to line up dead even. I'm going to flip it and ask you to think about one of your girlfriends that is single, or however many girlfriends you have that are single, and ask yourself, would you date them? And the answer is probably not, because you know something about that friend that is keeping them single. You know it, you've observed it, and you have probably said to yourself, she ain't gonna never get a man, right? Okay, so just know that you people are always watching. Understand what I'm saying? Why do you think they're single? And what is your honest opinion, right? And I guarantee you, whatever answer it is that you have is probably the same thing that you may dislike about that friend. Because let's face it, you know, we don't like all of the qualities of our friends, right? You kind of just take the good with the bad. But I'm willing to bet that whatever that quality is that you dislike about them is the same thing that is keeping them single. Test my theory and let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. So my point is that stay observant, keep your circle small. This is where you need to turn to your faith, right? Whatever that is. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I pray, and I take my troubles to Him. Now, I don't know who you pray to, who you worship, if you worship, but you need to lean on your higher power and get into your spirituality. Because the last place you want to drop these problems is your single friends. And when you get that man that you want or that woman that you want, whatever it is, I highly suggest you keep your personal business. Okay? We're going to the last point. Check out the clip.
Thing we cannot do for ourselves is have a masculine, safe home to land in. So providership is often assumed as financial providership. And that's one way that a man can provide, sure. But a lot of women make their own money now. So it's like, well, we don't really need your money. It's nice. It's nice to have, but I can make my own as well. But what I do need is for you to provide me emotional safety. What I do need is to feel like you're on my team. What I do need is to feel your devotion. And like, that is providership. Like, to me, as the modern independent woman who makes my own money, that's how my man can provide for me. And if he can't do that, then I don't feel a strong use for a relationship in my life. But because he can, I have a home in him.
I said, because I get you have options. You're handsome, you're successful, you will have options forever. So it really is in your hands, your fate. So you can tell me I'm great all you want, but you're not pursuing me, and I know why. Because I require too much. And that's all right. I'm okay with that.
What do you mean by that, though? What do you mean what do you require?
I require discipline and intention. And I require a level of like investment in terms of time. And you know, it's like you can say, oh, I took her to this restaurant, I took her to that restaurant, and I'd be like, well, what's my favorite color? There's no amount of dinners that you will ever buy for me that will get my panties off. So you really need to figure out what it is that you think you have to offer and what it is that you think I value, because it's never going to happen without real investment. I can do it myself. I can pay for whatever restaurant I want to go to myself.
Yeah.
I have a nice car, I have a nice house, I have friends, I have a successful career. So I am emancipated to a certain extent because those things don't entice me. So it kind of is a what do you bring to the table that's not material, that is something that's compelling.
All right. The last point is don't settle. Do not settle. But be realistic in your expectations. And that's very important to understand the difference. Some women feel that they're up here, but the men that they want, or I should say they want them, are here, right? And you have to be realistic in your expectations. If we go back to the earlier point about where you are in your market value, if you 300 pounds and you expect to get a high value man, that's probably unlikely. Let's just keep it 100. It's just not gonna happen, right? So that doesn't mean that there's not a man out there who won't love you for every 300 pound that you are. It just means that we have to be realistic in our expectations of a man, okay? All right. Last homework assignment is to write down or think about what is it that you want, right? Do you ultimately want marriage? Do you just want companionship? Do you just want a cuddle buddy where y'all get together a couple of times a month and have sex? Do you just want somebody you travel with? Do you want a relationship? They call it now living together but living apart, where y'all actually live in the same house, but you have different rooms, but you're still together. There's all kinds of ways people are out here making relationships work. But my question is what do you want? What works for you, right? And that's very important to know going into the dating market so that you can date with intention. Understand what it is that you're asking for. Be very clear about what it is that you're asking for, because if not, if you don't have a plan, baby, you will fall for anything. So I highly suggest that you have a plan. Again, don't settle for anything. You're worth everything, okay? But you have to be very clear about your expectations, and you have to be real about your expectations, all right? We have unpacked a lot today in our therapy session. So I just want to say thank you again. If it's your first time tuning in, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking it. I am trying to make the channel grow. So until we meet again, peace.